All right, and we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 52 of Global Citizens. My name is Kelvin. I am the show's host, and of course, I'm also its creator. So, my guest for today is somebody that, in a sense, has been requested for a while. So, I do have a dear friend of mine called Raiden who has been wanting to have a Japanese on the show for quite a while now. And I've been wanting to feature an international educator for quite a while. And when I met this young lady, it's, well, in a sense, I killed two birds with one stone. So, without further ado, I will introduce her. Her name is Ms Kanako Suwa. Kanako is a teacher who specializes in English as an additional language, and is now she is pursuing her master's degree in international education. So, along with that, she is of course a TCK. She has lived in several different parts of the world, and now I will just pass her the platform to maybe elaborate a little bit more on herself. So, Kanako, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Calvin. Doing well. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to share about my experiences being a third culture kid and now working at international schools. So a little bit about me. I am originally from Japan. My parents are both Japanese. I lived in Japan until I was 10 in grade 5. And that's when we had to move to Taipei, Taiwan for my dad's job. There, I went to Taipei American School, and I was there from grade 5 to grade 9. And then after my freshman year of high school there, sadly, we had to return to Japan for my dad's job again. I then went to a high school in Kyoto. It follows the Japanese curriculum, but most of the students were returnees from overseas. And then after graduating high school, I moved to Boston to pursue a bachelor's degree in bilingual education. I graduated from Boston University in 2017, and I've been working in Vietnam at an international school since then.
Sorry, just to repeat again, you're from Taipei American School, right?
Yep.
I've had several guesses from TAS. I think you
Yep.
may know him. He is the first guest for this year, and that is Mr. Ben Vogel, and of course his brother Jason. And oh, there's a
Uh
comment
huh.
here from hey Aaron,
Hey,
and yeah,
those are my TAS friends. Hi,
Aaron
Aaron. It's been
is
a
actually
while.
Aaron is a friend of mine from our time in Singapore Armed Forces.
Oh wow, what a small world,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, it is, it is. But how are you, buddy? Oh, and there's also somebody
Okay.
from Mr. Nick. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hello.
Nick.
Oh,
Nick is also in my class at TAS.
all right. Wow.
Yep,
Really small world. Really small world. All right.
it is.
Okay. I will jump into the very first question since a lot of Kanako's contacts and even my own. Okay, sorry. This one is we shared this contact, this particular guy. All right. So the very first question is, I'm sorry, it's somehow every single TCK will hate me because of it. So how do you define home? And is it related more to your loved ones or the physical place itself?
Um, for me, it definitely is related to who is there. Um, oh, hey, coach. Um, I've lived, even before moving to Taipei, we lived in 4 different cities within Japan. And so I've actually never lived anywhere longer than 4 years at a time. So for me, home really is where all my friends are. Um, I I generally say I'm going home, and by that I mean I'm going to Japan because all of my family live in Japan. They mostly live in Osaka.
Oh, okay.
But at the same time, I do consider Taipei one of my homes just because so many of the friends that I have now and so much of what I do now in my personal and professional life is very deeply rooted in the experiences I had in Taipei. Um, and also I have to call Boston one of my homes as well. I was only there for 4 years, but all my friends throughout university is all there, you know?
Yep. Okay. What do you feel has been an anchor for you? So, like what you said, so this was illustrated by Winnie Gu, the creator of Third Culture Chinese. She was on my show several episodes back. So
Mhm.
she has illustrated before is that for TCK, each part of yourself, like when let's say you move into one new country, one new place, each part of
Mhm.
yourself is left. It's like you cut a piece of yourself, you left it there, and in a sense, it became like a piece of your heart. So the
Yep.
thing is that whenever people mention negatively about this place, you get easily offended. It's because,
Mhm.
well, you love this place because you spent a part of yourself there, and in fact, like that illustration, you left a part of yourself. But what do you think has been an anchor for you? Something to keep you sane in a sense, and knows that you are Kanako at the end, at the root of yourself.
I would definitely say friends who have been supportive of all the transitions that happens in my life, whether that's, moving across the world, um, or starting a new job and things like that. The friends that I had in high school, even though I only was with them for 2.5 years in Japan, um, they've been very supportive of me leaving them to go to Boston for school. We kept in touch. And then again, my friends in Boston, when I decided to move to Vietnam, um, they were very supportive and made sure that we kept in touch and that I never really felt alone. Um, and those are the friends that I talk to about things that are happening in Vietnam, because they know who I am, and especially in the education field, they were all there when I started out my career as an educator. Um, and so it's been really nice to have that solid group of friends.
All right. Okay, so what initially draws you to a career as an educator?
Um, my first teaching experience was in grade 8, when I was at Taipei American School, and I was involved in this program called Swim Zone, which is a program that allows middle school, high school students to coach swimming to some of the younger kids. Um, I had been on the swim team and I liked working with little kids, and I thought, maybe this is something that I want to give a try. And I loved it. I loved watching the kids be able to learn new swimming skills and swim a little bit farther each time and stuff like that. And so that was what initially got me into teaching.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So, oh, can I go?
Oh, sorry. I'm still here. My camera's blanking. Let
Oh,
me, I'll fix it. Yeah, I can still hear you.
all right. Okay. So, all right. So we will still continue the question as you can still hear us. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Kanako, being an
Yep.
international educator, and now
Mhm.
and in the past, you being a third culture kid yourself, right? A
Yep.
lot of times as I mentioned earlier, we have suffered a lot of, sorry, not suffered. The more appropriate term is we have experienced cultural differences. We have experienced a lot of identity crisis. And the thing is that there has, of course, schools have counseling, or maybe you could have gone for a therapy or some kind of psychological evaluation. The thing is that it is not an issue that these individuals may have experienced or they even understand. Reason being is that when you have only ever had spent your life in one part of in one place, you may not understand what is it about living in other country, then how this can affect you. So
Mhm.
with regards to this, what do you feel is your insights on a kind of support that could be given to multicultural kids as they entered every single time, especially if they go to a new school?
I think definitely having somebody who understands what it means to be multicultural and multilingual. And I think the experiences of an adult moving to a new country for a new job is so different from what you experience as a child.
Yeah.
And it's great that we have all these educators who want to support kids who are now at international schools or living outside of their home country. But I find that sometimes maybe it is a little bit difficult for them to identify with or empathize with some of our learners. And so just making sure that whoever is, hired for that position, that their primary role is to support the kids, that they are very knowledgeable about what it's like to be outside of your home country or in a place where you maybe don't speak the language, and that there's going to be some cultural differences. And so acknowledging that, I think, is really important.
All right. Okay. This is like, well, it's when I start with the first question, it was of course intended to be a joke, but the reality is this: when we as multicultural kids, TCK, or even missionary kids, when we are asked, so where are you from? It became a lot of mind-numbing questions. It's because it was, okay, I grew up here, I study here, I work here all of our life. That is something that we don't understand. And the thing is, when we give the answer, people will find us, in a sense, we find us strange. So for yourself, right, what would you advise to somebody who has never experienced this lifestyle when they ask you, uh, what is a question that you feel should be more appropriate when when you mention to other people that you are TCK if they don't understand about this?
Something that I really appreciated that one of my friends did when I said that I, was a TCK was, she said, "Where are your homes?" instead of "Where is your home?" And I think
Yep.
for me, just having the option to list more than one place as a home,
Yep.
and knowing that the person that asked me that question knew that homes can be different places and it doesn't just have to be one.
All right. Yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, I grew up in Singapore most of my life, and so when I'm back in Indonesia, it's something that I took a lot of offense. In fact, just to let you guys know, those who are watching this, there are a lot of times I've actually quarreled with my father because my father has lived in Indonesia all his life. He's proud of this place, even if with all of the flaws that comes with it. And I grew up in Singapore. To me, it's always been my home. And well, while Indonesia is a home too, I guess I don't spend as much time in it. So I took personal offense with it, and it causes a lot of unnecessary arguments. It's because, well, with respect to my dad, he can't see what is going on with me. He doesn't know what is it that I was thinking. Why can't I just follow what he wanted? So I think this is what Kanako suggested is something that people who are watching this, and if you may not have experienced the lifestyle, do do be considerate, because every single one of these places is real. It's actually a part of us. It's a memory to us, and it's not something that we can take lightly. If, in a sense, it's being disregarded. Okay.
And
Sorry.
going along with that, at the same time, like if somebody's perception of home doesn't match what you think it is, so right now I work with a student who has a American father and a Mongolian mother, but they've lived in China for the first couple of years of his life. And so whenever somebody asks him where he's from, he says he's from China. But looking at him, I mean, he's got features that are more, that leads towards like a white American person. But also if he identifies as being from China because that's really all he's known as a home, not disregarding that and not dismissing that, I think is important.
Indeed. Okay. Kanako,
Mhm.
what can you share with us about reverse cultural shock? So the thing is that for me personally, when I came back to Indonesia, it's a ton of headache. The thing is that where I've lived in a country whereby efficiency is practically can be put as one of its core value, and when I come back here, I can't get somebody to fix my TV. Even though it's just a straightforward request, I have to go through at least 3 times I was redirected in order to get somebody to actually on the line to actually know what is going on. And even then, it's
Mhm.
still not done properly. So with reverse cultural shock, what I mean for your case is you are from Japan.
Mhm.
You are from Japan, and
Mhm.
afterwards you went to Taipei. You went to the
Mhm.
United States and Boston, which I believe it's still quite predominantly Irish American, is it,
Mhm.
or more towards the British? And then afterwards you went back to your home country, and then back to Vietnam. Sorry, go
Mhm.
to and you're now in Vietnam. So
Yep.
how has your family members in Osaka actually sees you, or how they interacted with you, and what do you think has been what do you think has been the issue?
Um, well, one of the first things that I noticed that was really hard for me was when I went back to Japan for high school.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know a lot about Japanese high schools and
I
their
watched Tokyo
cliques
Drift. Does
and
that count?
yeah, their cliques and their hierarchies and how if you are a little bit different or if you don't fit in or have a personality, then uh, you're not really accepted as a part of the class or your friend group or whatever. And to me, that was really difficult because I had just spent, grade 5 through grade 9, which is usually the time that, people are developing their identities. Um, and I was in Taipei. I was at an international school. I had teachers, friends, and teachers who encouraged me to be who I am. And then going back to Japan, and I had family members, friends, and teachers who wanted to put me in a box. And so, as far as like identity goes, that I think was really difficult. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to go to Boston for school because I did really want to get out of Japan and out of that confined society where being different wasn't accepted. And once I got to Boston, it felt like I was becoming myself again. And now I'm again fortunate to have good friends here in Vietnam as well, professionally and personally, who encourage me and allow me to be who I am. It's not always the same with family living in Japan um, and friends. And so sometimes when I talk to them or when I go home, for the holidays, I feel like I not really myself around them as I am outside. Um, but at the same time, that's just how the culture is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is if those who are watching and you are TCK, do leave in the comment if you have such experience. Is because for those of you who just tuned into the show for the very first time, Global Citizens is an online webcast that I created whereby I interviewed people who has experienced multicultural lifestyle. So either that or I have somebody who has interacted heavily with those from outside of their passport country, or even if let's say they are international speakers, they have to spend considerable amount of time overseas because they have followers and fans of the show who of their own show or even their program in order for them to be able to market themselves. So why I actually created this is I want people to actually see what is the difference when you come to a country and then you are actually living in the country, because yes, you are exposed to a new culture when you're on holiday, but after a certain period of time you're back home and well, things are back to normal. For people who have spent time living outside of their country, it kind of changed us in a sense, is because we have to adapt our mindset to our host country, like myself and Kanako, as Kanako has said, is because we have to adapt to their custom, their style of thinking. Is because, well, we have, if not, well, it's we cannot have a life there. So okay, so back to the questions again. Yeah. Okay, Kanako.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you feel a creative outlet is necessary for a TCK? So, what I mean by that is this. So, I created Global Citizens is because at one point I was so extremely frustrated when I come back to Indonesia. It's because
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the culture here, and with respectfully is that it's not a culture that I think is applicable outside of the country. And you, as humans, I think we always want to strive for the better, but the thing is that, well, here it's like just being the way you are is the one that should be accepted instead of progressing. So that is one of my motivation to create this program at that time. And I noticed that a lot of TCKs mindset tend to lean towards something that is a little bit more innovative in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Jason, who is actually an alumnus of Taipei American School, brother of Ben, he's actually a renowned art consultant in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually had one of my past guests who actually create variants of chocolate boller, a Swedish dessert
Mm-hmm.
that was done in variations of the flavor of all the countries that she has lived in. So, for your case, how important do you feel is a creative outlet for a multicultural kids?
Um, for myself, I'm just not a very creative person. Um, but I feel like
You have a
just
nice
for
T-shirt though.
TCKs,
You have a nice T-shirt that has your name on it.
hey, I didn't make it. Etsy did. um, yeah, no, I feel like I think what happens with a lot of TCKs is from a young age, we are exposed to a lot of different cultures and countries and traditions and ideas and perspectives, and I think that automatically kind of lends itself to having a creative outlet, like you said, like your friend creating different recipes from all the places that she's lived in. I feel like she wouldn't have been able to do that if she hadn't had the experience of being a TCK. Um, so just by the amount of information and experiences that we are exposed to, I think, yeah, there's a lot of potential for TCKs to go into something creative.
Do you feel, in a sense, it's also is like a testament to actually is a living proof? It's an actual proof for TCK
Mhm.
to see that I've experienced all of this life before. Because the thing
Mhm.
is that like what you experienced when you were in Japan, they want to put you in a box. They don't wish for you to be expressive. They don't wish for you to to be able to, well, open up yourself to the world. So, what do you feel that this creative outlet, in a sense, serve as a way, as a reminder to for you to see that I've experienced this life before?
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with that, and also, so much of our culture experience is, overlooked and not valued, and it's not in popular media, it's not in mainstream books and stuff like that, and so I feel like maybe TCKs as a group, we feel the need to share our experience, and people aren't going to be interested if it's not creative.
Yep.
So.
Okay. All right. So, with regards to what you mentioned on creativity, so it's in a sense it's not a definite rule. We pretty much, for us multicultural kids, we never had a specific rule anyway for who we are or how we define
Mhm.
ourselves. But this is something that I've noticed, and well, I've done 52 of this episode. I've met people with multiple backgrounds. The record on my show is number of countries that they have lived in is 12, and the number of countries that they have
Mhm.
visited is 150. Yeah. So
Wow.
I One of my impending guests, I think it's gonna break the record. I think the number of countries is at 16, but that's I can't remember which ones is which. So
Wow, that's impressive.
thank you. Yeah, sadly I'm not the one who lived that life though. Hopefully I get there. So yeah, okay. I noticed that TCK tend to lean towards a career that is purpose driven, creatives, and entrepreneurship. Of course, there's no
Mhm.
specific rule for it, but what kind of field do you think would be advisable for TCK as an educator?
I would advise TCKs to go into something that has to do with, working with people from different cultures. I feel
Yeah.
like growing up a TCK, you kind of learn how to work with people from different cultures and, learn the differences in communication and um, differences in how people from certain countries behave and stuff like that. And so, a job that allows you to capitalize on that, because it is an asset, right? Being able to identify why people are acting a certain way, having that cultural background knowledge, and then being able to adapt your behavior to match the ones that you are working with. I think any career really that helps you with that, I think is a good job.
All right. Okay, Kanako. So
Mm-hmm.
right now we are in the midst of a lockdown. I think well,
Mm-hmm.
I know there are some places that is now whereby this is dwindling already. They are continuing with their lives as usual.
Yeah.
So but in the end most of us are still well, we are stuck at home. We can't really
Mm-hmm.
go anywhere and we I don't think is safe enough for us to be able to be active in the open. So
Mm-hmm.
throughout this whole time we see a lot of news of a lot of racial hatred. One of the news I've seen is, for example, in the was it in the United States or UK? I can't remember. So a Korean man was attacked just because
Mm-hmm.
when he was carrying a grocery, and well, they told him to go back because simply it's because they thought that he's from China. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of this has been it's painful, it is disgusting. It's because
Mm-hmm.
well, as humans, I think we should instead of us trying to pinpoint blames now, we should learn to work with each other as we all are in the same situation. So for a TCK, for example, what do you feel should be the basis, though, to create an environment that accepts global citizens' mindset in real life and digitally? Because for us, is that being the chameleons that we all are, we can blend in, or in a sense, we can move our situation to fit with the environment. How do you
Mm-hmm.
think that we can create an environment whereby this mindset is transferred in real life and also through a digital outlet such as social media?
I think first of all, starting with more exposure of what third culture kids are. I know there's people that I talk to that I've worked with in the past and now who didn't know what third culture kids are, and it often gets confused with like third world country kids
Oh yeah,
because
I've seen that.
yeah, I don't
I've
know if
seen
you've
that.
had that. Yeah.
I've seen that.
Um,
I've seen that. Oh my god.
Yeah, and so when I say like I'm a third culture kid, everyone's like, "But you're from Japan." I'm like, "So like that has nothing to do with uh, the cultures that I have." Um, and then they usually follow it up with like, "Well, Japan is one of the most developed countries." I'm like, "Yes, that's true, but being a third culture kid has nothing to do with the level of development of your country."
Okay, sorry, Kanako. Give me
Um,
a second to expand that. For those of you who are watching and you don't know what is a third culture kids, okay, so third culture kids are children who grow up outside of their passport country or their parents' birth country. So The third doesn't mean that we have to live in three places. It doesn't mean we come from a third world. Okay, there's multiple definition of it. So for my definition, third culture kids is because I grew up in Singapore, I'm a citizen of Indonesia, I'm back here now. So I've never felt a sense of belonging to both my home country. So I look for a third one. That is the definition of a third culture kid. Basically, it's individuals who do not feel the sense of belonging to places that is supposed to be called their home. So for those of you who are watching, please understand third does not mean third world country, for goodness sake. This is an incredibly frustrating thing when we have to hear that. Sorry, Kanako. Yeah, back to you again.
Yeah, no, thank you for the clarification. It is a comment that I get often. And I just never know how to counter it because I kind of lose the will to explain any further.
Yeah, understandable. Don't worry, you are not the first one. There was once, I think there was a post feud. I think it was in TC Kid at that time. The TC Kids page. I can't remember which page is it. There was a long argument of the definition of that, but
Mm-hmm.
don't worry. What
Mm-hmm.
you experience is not uncommon. Yeah, I think a lot of
Yeah,
us went through that,
yeah,
and it's because we
and
feel okay. Even if we tell you, you are not gonna understand it anyway. So we just kind of give up with that.
yep. And then I think after people learn about TCKs and their existence and what they are, I think just when a TCK tells you their background or where they identify as home and stuff like that, just not trying to argue or not trying to fit them into these boxes that you think they should fit into. um, I think as TCKs we know our identity and our homes and our cultures and traditions pretty well at this point. And so just accepting what TCKs share with you as their identity, I think is pretty important.
Indeed. Okay. Why do you feel though there is such miscommunication between cultures and also generations? Is because I don't know. Earlier you mentioned with some of the issue that you have experienced with your family members. Like for example, they want
Mm-hmm.
to put you in the box because they expect you to follow a Japanese lifestyle tradition of a lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, being a being a multicultural kid, there's no way you can fit in into that box. You always want to feel that you belong to a bigger part of the world.
Yeah.
And well, yeah. So yeah, sorry, you can answer that again.
Um, I think the biggest thing again is exposure, right? I mean, when I first moved to Taipei, I had just come from, living in Japan for the first 10 years of my life, and I was thrown into an American school where even like the rules of being in a classroom was different. Like in Japan, you had to ask to go to the bathroom every time. And then I walk into this
Oh,
American
that's
school in
problematic.
grade 5. And then no, everyone's just going to the bathroom in the middle of class. And so
Ah,
little things, oh yeah, little things like that.
you don't need to have a hall pass, right? Like in the US.
Well, my school now does, but the school that I was at in Taipei, I don't think we've ever had hall passes. And
Okay.
so, um, you know, and I've had to learn to adapt to the different cultures that I was thrown into. So when I moved back to Japan, I again had to adjust what I know to be normal and go with the new normal, right?
Yep.
Um, and I think that's kind of the issue. I think with my family and just the generation is that they just don't know. They don't know that there are other ways to exist or that there are alternatives or different points of view and perspectives. Um, but if you're not exposed to them, like how do you learn about it? You know? And
Okay. What do you?
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
No,
Please
go ahead.
continue. What do
No,
you think would be a doable solution for in order to give more exposure on this?
well, I
As what you
think,
said, sorry.
yeah, I think advocacy um, from us who are going through it. Oh yeah, so Jess that just commented, even students living in their home countries are experiencing the same thing when they attend international schools, which is kind of what's happening at our school because we're in Vietnam. 95% of our kids are Vietnamese, um, but when they're at school, at our international school, they're exposed to more of an international view, which might be different from their parents at home who grew up in Vietnam in local schools, right? So
Yep.
I think just overall education. I think TCKs. I mean, we do this. I think already, but
Watch my show,
we do
please,
need
because
to.
I have every single TCK imaginable. You can understand the
Yeah,
mindset of a TCK by watching. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
like that.
Sorry. Yeah,
No,
sorry, Karen.
but like watching your shows where you talk to different TCKs with different experiences is a great way to educate yourself on the spectrum of TCKs, right? Just because I identify as a TCK doesn't mean all of our experiences are going to be the same. And
Yeah.
so if you know a TCK in your life, maybe it's worth, sitting down and having a conversation with them, just so you can learn and educate yourself.
Just to add on to Miss Jessica Skinzer, I'm sorry if I butcher your name. Yeah, I'm sorry if I butcher your name. I hope I said it correctly. Actually, not only students, actually adults experience this issue. You can ask a second generation American, they know they are Americans, but the thing is that even then they feel that they are cornered in a box. They don't feel a sense of belonging. I've had several second gens Americans on my show, and of course, well, this is something that I think we have to advocate. It's something that could be put in the front light. It's because people just tend to want to follow what you know, a custom that you understand, but you don't want to understand what other people is actually experiencing. Tomorrow, I will be actually having another guest, Miss Alexandra Pachescu. Alexandra is a diplomatic spouse, so her husband is a diplomat. So I actually will be focusing on issues on what do you think could be done in order to provide more support for TCK at home. So if you guys are watching this, do tune in tomorrow. And yeah, so this is actually going to be the last question for Kanako.
Mm-hmm.
What books or advice would you give to, firstly, an educator who stubbornly sticks to an older mindset? For one thing, is that I'm not sure if it's still done, but I do still see corporal punishment style whereby a student is caned
Mm-hmm.
directly. I know that that is a method of discipline that may have a certain level of effect at that time, but now it's definitely not advisable, and well,
Mm-hmm.
it can land you in a lot of trouble. So
Mm-hmm.
second is a younger generation of TCK. So basically, it's those younger than us. Okay, if
Mm-hmm.
anybody wanna guess Kanako's age, please. I think you guys know since several of it her friends. Aaron already know how old am I since we were in the same army camp last time. And lastly is someone with no idea what multicultural life is about. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so I
By
have
the way, the age part is
two
just a
books.
joke. It's just a joke.
I have two books that I consider to be like, I guess like Bibles for being TCKs, right?
Uh,
This is the first
oh, Ruth
book,
Van Recken.
which,
Oh wait,
uh-huh,
no. Okay.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's David
Yeah, our
Pollock
Bible.
and Ruth Van Ryn. It's called Third Culture Kids Growing Up Among the World, and um, this book just tells you everything you need to know about being a TCK. Um, So for people who are looking to learn more about what it's like to be a TCK, I definitely recommend that book. This is one of the books that I used when I wrote my research paper on TCKs. And even though I already knew that I was a TCK and knew a little bit about it, it felt like this book kind of affirmed what I was going through and what I have been through. So I'd recommend it for, TCKs who are trying to find that identity right now, and for educators who will be working with third culture kids, and for any parents or family members who are raising third culture kids. And then this is my second book that I'd recommend. It's called, where is it? It's called Finding Home.
Finding Home. Okay, I heard about this.
Yeah, Finding Home, Third Culture Kids in the World by Rachel P. Jones. This is a collection of essays written by third culture kids or adult third culture kids who are third culture kids now, who have now grown up to be adults. And this book actually offers different perspectives and different life paths that TCKs have picked, and why they made certain decisions. Like, there's an essay about how this person decided to go back to one of their home countries to settle down. And then the next essay is about a different TCK who continued to live that life of, moving abroad every couple of years or so. And so it offers alternative perspectives, and it really gave me some food for thought when I think about what I want my life to look like. So I also would recommend that as well.
Okay. So before we end, I actually want to send a condolence to Ms. Hana Kimura. So there's a show on Netflix called Terrace House, whereby a lot of TCK, in a sense, is because a lot of this are a diverse cast with differing backgrounds who actually live together in a house. Miss Hana Kimura is actually a professional wrestler, and the thing is that she passed away recently. I actually already sent my regard. We actually sent my regards when I was invited to Third Culture Five Star Pod Splash, which is a pro wrestling podcast. Yes, in case you guys are wondering, I am a wrestling fan, but that was something that I was just invited by. And the thing is with her is I believe she grew up in the United States, or she is exposed to the lifestyle being a professional wrestler. So I do want to send a condolence to her with that. So yeah, that's the end of episode 52 of Global Citizens. So I need to thank all of these who actually leave such positive remarks. So we have Miss Cindy Wirawan. Cindy is actually my past guest. She is a millennial expert, and yes, she's also a third culture kid. So if you guys are ever curious about her career, please check out with her. She is somebody who's gonna give you a lot of guidance. And of course, there's Mr. Ben Kartik, Miss Suchi, who has been really supportive of my show. Miss Jessica, earlier I mentioned about you, but I'm sorry if I butcher your name. I hope I didn't. And Aaron Leroy Wong, who is actually a mutual contact of ours. How are you, you bloody Filipino? I'm just kidding. It's an inside joke. And there's Miss Kelsey Jan Koya. I hope I'm saying it correctly. Am I saying it correctly? Oh, okay, thank God. Okay, so the episode 53 will be on tomorrow. So for Singapore, if you're in Singapore, it will be at 4 p.m. So we will be following the GMT +2. So we will have Miss Alexandra Pachescu, who is actually a diplomatic spouse, and she is the creator of Just a Diplomatic Spouse, a True Life Story. And with that, I also need to thank. I also need to thank Kanako, of course, for being on time, being so prepared for this show. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy yourself today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
And